Rose, tell me. Rose, do you have a question? You want to share something? Um, okay. Okay. So real quick, my friends, um, we had well, not a conversation, but Krista posted something I think on Friday or Saturday, I don't know when, regarding that she was happy with the lives and everything, and asking if we could have more questions at the end, just like the last live that we had. And some members were explaining or sharing some thoughts regarding their experience here on the study group. And as you well know, this study group is for us. It's not my space. It's everybody's space. And we made this possible because we felt the need to go deeper on David's teachings and all these things. And as I explained also in that post, well, nobody taught me how to become a moderator. I just jumped here, and then here I was talking with you guys, and it wasn't like I took a YouTube video on how to do these things like Google. And Raju and I at the beginning, we were, we were here, him and I, and we were like pressing all the buttons to see how this thing worked, how to share screen, how to do those kinds of things. Well, we didn't have a tutorial on how to do what we are doing, but I think we're doing good. But sometimes that's this is some personal perspective. Some calls sometimes they get longer for actually no reason. Yeah, sometimes like the last one was a good one. We connected, we talk and everything. Sometimes I feel that we can feel some tension, and sometimes it can get a little bit fighty, with people saying I don't need your approval and things like that. I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. And one thing that I've realized is that sometimes we get really enthusiastic with what we are sharing, that sometimes we forget that we are here to learn from David, to learn from the law, and obviously to share from our own experience, not to make people believe what we believe. So, first of all, if in some of the calls you felt that I was trying to push you or pursue you into believing something that I believe, or if I was a little bit or maybe too much pushy with you, or maybe aggressive or something like that, I'm sorry because of that. That wasn't my intention, and is nobody's saying that I was doing those things, but I wanted to clarify that if you felt like that, that's never my intention. I know that sometimes I can be a little bit bossy. I can be bossy, uh, and I really believe that there's a little Roman general inside of myself. So sometimes I can be bossy,
I'm
but
sorry.
I'm pretty sure uh, I treat you well. But if I did something wrong, my friends, I apologize. That wasn't my intention, and yeah, and for that reason, do you want to share something, Krista?
Yes, my impression is that you are not bossy, that you're doing fine, and what you said that you have made a mistake. I don't have the impression, but maybe others want to say something to it. I think Terence has something to say. No, you that you have to become a better moderator. Don't ask me how. I also don't know, but I think you are doing very fine.
Thank you. Good to say something, Terence.
Yes, James. It wasn't aimed at you. I was going to say exactly what Krista said, that she felt and I felt the same. I was chatting with my partner and we felt the same, that somewhere along the line, the meeting was getting a bit out of hand and getting a bit fiery, and that you should have had a bit more, maybe had a bit more control of the meeting than you had. I think that's what Krista's trying to say, or that's what I was picking up anyway. Is that what you were trying to say, Krista? That's my take on it, for what it's worth.
Yeah, yeah. It's from my point of view. It's not about James. It's about some others.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. Ify, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to echo what they're saying. I think you're doing an amazing job. And I guess I just joined this meeting, and I guess if I do, I can't get overexcited when I'm in the midst of people who are trying to do or trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve, like manifestations. So I guess if there's any time where I might, overspeak or try and also put my views or my opinions on other people, yeah, if someone can let me know as well. But I just want to echo what Terence and Krista are saying. You're doing a fantastic job. Yeah, that's me.
Ivy, I never had anything bad about you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You always did fine.
Yeah, I just
um,
can't get overexcited
yeah.
because it's
Oh.
really nice when you're in a group of people that you're achieving. It's like we're all marching to heaven. Do you understand? Together. I don't mean heaven as in the biblical heaven, like what we want to get. So it's really nice when you're with people, among people who are trying to march to, so I can get overexcited.
Mhm. So I want to say I can get loud, but when I do, it has a reason.
Okay, cool.
Apologize. I will find other ways to be loud enough so that all the people who fell asleep wake up. Okay. Anyway, I apologize. I certainly have not always been a nice person.
Oh, you've been fine. I think with we all have seasons where, we get a bit of like for example, my mom's got dementia and this weekend it was just so tough. So obviously when people are going through stuff, it can affect their lives that, others might not know. So we all have seasons where we're going through stuff and it might come up across in our voice, our personality. So I think we all understand that.
Yeah. My
This
mother,
is
she
life.
could not hear well, and very often I did not think with whom I speak. I was speaking very loud. And, oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
It is.
My
Thank
mother
you.
always said, you have to speak louder. I cannot hear you.
Mothers, eh?
Even though she had some ear stuff
Oh.
that she could hear it, but she didn't like to put it. So anyway, my mother has died. I don't have a reason to be loud anymore.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, appreciate your words. So, okay. So, in order for that to have more control over the calls, and especially, I don't want nobody to feel like how do you say this? Damn, I forgot the word in English, and I was trying to find a fancy word for decimate. Is it a English word?
Yeah, decimate is to crush anything. Like a town would be decimated. Like
Yeah.
after a bombing, a town could be decimated. Is that what he meant?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Mm.
it's a really funny story behind that um, word, and I'm not going to explain it to you right now. But it comes from Rome. It comes from Rome, and I will explain it later. But yeah, I don't want to decimate anybody. I don't want to. I want everybody to feel safe and open if they want to share whatever you want to share, because this space is for us at the end, my friends. And it's important that we as a tribe, we work together, and um, we share and we respect one another. So that's why I wrote some ground rules. I hope you are okay with that. And I post them on the chat. So it says like this: Welcome everyone to our Tuyas study group. Before we dive into David's teachings today, I want to set 3 simple ground rules to ensure this remains a high value and safe space for all of us. Number 1, respect the mic. We speak one at a time. If you like to share, please use the raise hand feature. Let's keep our contributions concise so everyone has a chance to be heard. Number 2, does everybody know where that raise hand feature is? Well, I know Rose knows where it is.
I
That
only
is
checked. I only
the,
checked.
yeah, yeah. Daniel, Ify, Terrence, well, you know where it is, right?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just reading it as you were saying about it, James. I just went into it and read it. Yeah, it looks good, mate. Looks good.
Okay. And Daniel, I think he might be driving. Well, anyway. Okay, number 2, the safe.
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Okay, nice. Do you know where the right hand bottom is?
No, I'm pretty sure I can find it.
Okay, well, it has a hand like this.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
the
pretty
safe,
simple.
yeah. Okay, so the safe space policy. We are here to learn, not to lecture. Please share from your own experience using I statements. Aggressive tones or direct criticism toward other members will not be part of our dynamic. So, like I was saying, I'm not here to because I believe in, I don't know, chocolates have to rule the world. I'm not gonna try to pursue you in believing that. You know, that's I don't think I'm doing that, but you get the point, and you know what I'm talking about, right? You really know what I'm talking about. And number 3, stay on topic. We are here to study specific lectures. I will be moderating to keep us focused on the day's theme. If we drift too far, it's fine to drift, but sometimes we do it like too far. Even myself, I do it. I'll gently bring us back to the core teaching. And by staying in this call, we all agree to these standards of respect and growth. If not, well, that's fine also. All right. Questions regarding this? Really simple ones, right?
Did you have as a rule that people should not talk endlessly, like more than half an hour?
Yeah.
Should be into every comment.
Yeah, it's on respect the mic. That let's keep our contributions concise so everybody has a chance to be heard.
Right. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah. And obviously, well, the safe space and lecturing, well, we don't have to lecture people, but anyway. All right, my friends. So let's begin with our today's lesson. Somebody if somebody needs to share something before we do that, well, just let me know. And
I think this will become an important one, the true forgiveness. And I will have questions afterwards.
all right, I also have questions. I have 6 questions ready for all of you guys, but I understand maybe you're saying that you have questions regarding the topic or regarding something. So yeah, we can hear your questions. All right, so let's begin.
We're going to get into lesson 7, 8, and I believe we'll get into 9, but lesson 8, there's a lot of exercises that I want to cover. And also we have the PDF that's going to be on the platform too, but we're going to cover everything in detail. But first, before we get into it, as always, the Master Key System, Part 15 by Charles Haanel. Difficulties, inharmonies, and obstacles indicate that we are either refusing to give out what we no longer need or refusing to accept what we require. All conditions and experiences that come to us do so for our benefit. Difficulties and obstacles will continue to come until we absorb their wisdom and gather from them the essentials of further growth. Koran, good afternoon from Ireland. I think Gio was just in Ireland. All right, cool. Okay, so lesson number 7, true forgiveness. True forgiveness. All right, so unforgiveness is you drinking the poison and waiting for the other person to die. I'm sure you've heard that before, but this is really so true. This is so true in our reality when we have hatred towards somebody else because we're living in a simulation, and that it's just an illusion. It's just an illusion that there's a separation or gap in between you and somebody else. So you hating somebody else in your own reality is essentially drinking the poison and waiting for that other person to die, because we're all connected. There's only an illusion of separateness. There's no gap or separation within consciousness. So choosing to hold on to the mind created past where your mind believes someone, oh, let me fix this. There we go. Choosing to hold on to the mind created past where your mind believes someone did to you something that they shouldn't have done, and then resent them and hold a grudge against them is just another way your mind makes you suffer. Remember, this is the ego too. The ego is what's doing this when you identify yourself with your brain or your ego. So it's just another trick that the ego pulls on you. And these are a lot of things that people get distracted with, or they get reactionary and they stay stuck in this stuff. And I see it all the time. And I'm guilty of this too sometimes, where my ego I'll get upset about something someone did to me and I just can't let it go. But then I catch myself and then I realize all of these things, you're drinking the poison. You're allowing this person to take mine in your space when you could be focusing on your success and your fulfillment, your vision of the future. So it's just another trick that the ego pulls on you. So remember that. And that also helps you break free from it, is knowing these secrets about the ego, and that you are not your ego. You are not your brain. You are the observer, and you can change your thoughts. You can change what you're imagining. You can change what you're creating, and you have this right now in the present moment. So it's all up to you. So the result, this is the result. You mindlessly engage with the mental conversation about how someone hurt you. See, and this is when you start recreating this stuff to come into your life. You start recreating these things. So when you mindlessly engage with mental conversations about how someone hurt you, engaging with same emotions and recreating the unwanted past repeatedly. Remember, like subscribing to a YouTube video that you don't like. So when you react negatively to something in your world, or you have resentment or hatred towards someone, and you don't forgive someone in your life and let it go, then you're essentially subscribing to that channel. You're leaving a comment, you're hitting the thumbs up, and you're going to continue to get the same things coming into your life, very similar to those things. So you're staying in that reality, engaging with the same emotions, recreating the same things, the unwanted past, repeatedly over and over and over, staying in that reality, ultimately not being able to focus on the other thing there is, the eternal now. And the eternal now is when you can make the changes. That's what's important about Eckhart Tolle and the way that he compliments, I believe, Neville Goddard, is because the present moment is the only moment that's real. That's when you can make true change and catch yourself and be like, wait a minute, I don't have to think this way. Or no, I don't have to react to this. Once you're present and you're aware right now, that's when the changes can happen. If you're not present, you're not in control of your thoughts. You're not in control of what you're imagining. It's all being created automatically from you not being in the now. So, but when you become in the now, that's when you can start having a vision of the future and observe and change your present reactions and the things that you are engaging with and creating into your life. So it is detrimental to your success in manifesting your new life is to be aware and present right now. So, but how do you go about forgiving someone when it is so hard? This is the question. This is the very important question here. How do you go about forgiving someone when it is so hard and this person was, it's such a traumatizing event? So, true forgiveness lies in understanding that there is nothing to forgive. Let me read that again, and we're going to get into this. So, true forgiveness lies in the understanding that there is nothing to forgive. When you rise above the egoic mind, you will realize that you don't get hurt in the first place. The only reason you feel like you got hurt is because your ego has convinced you that you're under attack, or that you're actually hurt, or that somebody's actually, intentionally did this or did that to you, and you need to seek revenge, or you need to hold on to this resentment, or you need to seek unforgiveness and not forgive this person or let it go. It was the ego that feels hurt. The ego, not you. You are not your ego. Do not attach yourself or associate or identify yourself with your ego, because it will destroy you. It doesn't care about you. The ego doesn't care about you, so do not identify with it. The only thing that these things have hurt was your ego, and you unconsciously identified with the ego. And that's the only reason. And that's why it's so important not to identify yourself with your brain or your ego, because when that happens, then it has total control of you. Then you are no longer in control of what you're reacting to, because the ego is just a disaster. It's gonna constantly do that, and at the end of the day, it's also going to kill its host, which is you. It's like a parasite, but you can use it for your own benefit in certain things. But you must understand that you are the observer of the ego, and you are controlling the ego. You are not identified as the ego. You're separate from the ego, and you can use it. Just like your brain, you use your brain for calculation, for strategically calculating, your life, your success, your abundance, your imagination. You use it, but you don't identify yourself with it. You are separate from it, okay? Because this is the internal world. All right? Let me see. All right, so nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So key lies in staying present in the moment and observing the egoic mind. So meditation. And we're going to get into these exercises here in a second. Realizing you are not it. It's understanding that you were unconscious of your identification with the mind. And so was the other person. So see that where he talks about the mind now too? Identifying yourself with the brain. Once you realize that everything that was done to you to harm you was an act of unconsciousness, you then realize that there was nothing to forgive in the first place. It wasn't the person that did you harm. It was their ego that did you harm. It wasn't that person. It was the ego. It was their unconsciousness. They weren't awake when they did it. Or they're not real people. If you're not conscious and you're not present, You're not actually a real person. You're actually being controlled by the ego. And this is important to understand this. And that's why there's nothing to forgive, because if somebody had harmed you, it was because they were unconscious. They were asleep. They weren't in control. They weren't in control. So remember that. Remember that with all traumas and people that do harm to you. This is why, because it's because it wasn't them, it was their ego. It was because they're unconscious. Their unconsciousness is why they did that. So, and then you can have peace about it. So once you understand this, it kind of releases the attachment to it. And that's like really the key of going over all this and really breaking things down, is that you understand that you don't have to be upset because it wasn't that person that harmed you. It was their ego that did. And they were just unconscious when it happened. So that person really didn't harm you. So there's nothing to forgive. Because who are you going after? A parasite. The ego. That's who you're going after. And there's no point. It's not real, okay? So there is nothing to judge. It's not them. They are not it. Really important. So lesson number 8, stilling the mind exercise. Number 1, make it your practice to withdraw attention from past and future whenever they are not needed. All right, so this is a really good, this is basically meditation, but the meditation is withdrawing your attention from the past and future and being present in the moment. And I do this a lot by writing stuff down. I find that becoming more present when I write everything down that I'm going to do, or like presently, like what's happening right now, like journaling, writing things down that I'm going to do throughout the day. It captures my attention in the present moment, like writing down as much as you possibly can. Because in that moment when you're writing it, you're very present. And the more that you do that, the more it establishes your present moment awareness. When you're writing things down, because when you're writing stuff, you're not thinking about really the past or the future. You're in the present while you're writing. And I noticed that creates a very still mind, like a very present mind in the now. And also whenever you get an opportunity, like you're sitting in a room, or say you're in your office, or you're at home, or wherever you are, or you're just waiting for something, like you're waiting in line, even at the grocery store, or wherever you're waiting in line, wherever you are, you get a moment, start noticing things like in the room presently. Instead of thinking about the past or the future or what this person did to you, whatever it is, start noticing like the color of the walls, like the windows in the room, the ceiling, the way it looks, the lights, fixtures, the floor, what's around you, without your mind drifting to other things from the past. Like you're in the present when you're doing that. Just notice things around you, and that wakes you up, because now you're present in the moment, looking around you and seeing what's here. Like my desk, I'm looking at everything very specifically, counting this, counting that. What's the color of this, the color of that, the color of this? How many blinds do I have on my window? Like I'll count them, and I'll get like specific numbers, and like the corners of the rooms, like the texture on the wall, like everything about it. Like the door is open, the door is closed. Different things like this are very good practices for becoming present, because my mind is nowhere else but right now. And that trains your mind, for this development of creating a vision of your future. It really does help you with this because the mind going back to this, the way that it should be, is thinking in the present moment instead of going into the past and recreating those things. But when you're focused on what's in front of you right now and the details of everything, you're present and you're training your mind to be that way. That way you can start creating a vision of the future. And that's really the secret. All right. So if you find it hard to enter the now directly, here's some of Eckhart Tolle's examples here. Start by observing the habitual tendency of your mind to want to escape from the now. You will observe that the future is usually imagined as either better or worse than the present. If the imagined future is better, it gives you hope or pleasurable anticipation. See, this is thinking of, remember. If it is worse, it creates anxiety. Both are illusory. So both of them you're thinking of in both events. So it's one or the other. So you can start observing your mind and see what it's doing, because it's also creating, patterns for the future. Because if you're stuck on negative things from the past, you're automatically picturing things to be negative in the future. And that's why they're being recreated. So that's why this exercise is really important, just to see what's happening in your mind, see what's happening. So the moment you realize you are not present, you're present. This is another really cool part. Like right now, during this live event, you've all become present because we're discussing it. Because we're like, okay, so the moment you realize you're not present, you become present. Remember that too. So the key is not to engage with the mind as it guilt trips you in. Oh, I'm not present again. I'm so bad at this. That's the ego again. Remember, don't identify with that. The ego is very tricky. It's going to try to trick you to believe that you are it. It's going to try to get you to identify with it so it has control over you. It's the parasite within. All right, so just keep bringing your awareness back to the now and know that this voice or this thing that's trying to get you to stay stuck on traumas and negativity and reactionary processes, all that is the ego. It's the parasite, and it wants you to identify with it. That way it can have control, because it doesn't care whether you live or die. It doesn't. It only has one purpose, okay, by attaching to different things and keeping it. That's how it keeps itself alive, because it can't live in the now. The ego cannot live in the now. It has to be in the past or the future, mostly the past, like traumatic events, getting you all riled up over everything that's happened to you. And you're going to let this person do this to you? This person got over on you, so you need to, retaliate or revenge or have hatred or this, that. So when it's captured your attention thinking this way, you're not in the present, because it can't live in the present. So it needs these things to keep itself in the past, to keep you attached to these things. Otherwise it can't exist. It dies. The parasite dies in the present. All right. So remember that too. Number 2, the way out of the pain body. The only way out is to bring presence into the pain body. Do not judge it or analyze it. Simply watch it. Remember that. Do not judge or analyze. Simply watch it. Feel its presence, its energy field in your body. By observing it, you sever the link between it and your thinking. This was a big awakening for me, this part of it. By observing it, you sever the link between it and your thinking, thus preventing the unconscious identification. Because when you become the ego, you're automatically unconscious. Because remember, the ego cannot live in the present moment. And if you're identified with the ego, that means that you can't be present, because the ego can't be present. And you've identified with the ego. Remember that. So if you can stay present, then you have detached yourself from the ego. If you can stay present as it arises, you transform and reclaim your energy, which was trapped in the pain body. This requires deep acceptance and surrender to what is. Remember that the ego wants the pain body, wants you to be in pain, because that's what keeps it alive. It cannot live in the now. It can't be pain-free, because otherwise it would serve no purpose for its own life. It's a parasite. Remember that. And when you have attached or identified with the ego, that's when you lose your ability to focus. That's when you lose your ability really to create, in the present moment, like a new vision, shifting realities, different things like that. It hinders you from doing all that, changing your concept of yourself, because the ego's like, wait a minute. No, you're not changing who you are. Then you detach from me then. And because you have to be present in order to start having a new vision of the future and shift your concept of yourself and shift your states of consciousness. So then the ego's trying to get you back. All right. So do not only observe, focus. Do not only observe, but focus. As the time passes, you will get more and more present to the mind activity. You are intensely observing it, and it brings you back to the now. However, it is not enough. Other than observing it, and thus disengaging with it, the other way to keep the mind silent is through intense focus on the task at hand. And who does that remind you of? Neville Goddard. So, another way to eliminate the pain body, the ego, the parasite, is right here. The other way to keep this mind silent, to release the ego, is through intense focus on the task at hand. An intense focus of your vision of the future. Your intense focus of visualizing from the end. Living in your wish fulfilled. All right? So, give it your full attention. Remember, so everything you do throughout the day, I started doing this too when I was in prison. I started, like, when I went to the chow hall, different things like that, I would make sure I was giving it my full attention. And that's why, like Christians, they have prayers they do. Like, thank you, God, for giving me this meal. And they go through this whole thing because it makes them present as they're, before they consume their food. They become present and they become grateful for the food that God has provided. So give it your full attention. Are you eating? Eat 100%. Don't scroll on the phone, all right? So when you're eating, focus on that alone. Don't watch Netflix while you're eating your honey buns, or don't eat honey buns at all. While you're eating your dinner, lunch, or breakfast, or snacks, or whatever, don't scroll on your phone. Don't watch Netflix. Don't watch a movie. Focus on the food only. Focus on what you're doing, one thing at a time. Because if you start watching movies or scrolling on your phone, you're gonna all of a sudden your whole meal's gone. You're like, wait a minute, I don't even remember eating it because you weren't there. You were somewhere else. The ego had control of you. The ego was taking your mind over here, over there, scrolling on TikTok, watching this TV series. Before you know it, your whole meal's gone, and you're like, I didn't even enjoy that $100 meal I just ate. So brushing your teeth is another one. Feel the toothbrush and toothpaste on your teeth. Be very aware presently of every activity that you do throughout the day. Stop yourself. Every time you're doing something, stop yourself and be like, okay, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm not thinking about this or that, or the parasite doesn't have control of me. I'm going to focus on the brushing of my teeth. So feel the toothbrush and toothpaste on your teeth. Remain present in all of the day's activities. Every activity that you do, you start practicing this and it gets easier as you go. Gets easier as you go. But a big part of this, I believe, is eating. So many people have bad habits of eating because they're not present while they're eating, and they develop these habits and these comforts from eating. Like they put a meal together and then they put their favorite TV show on, and then they eat, and then they get sucked into this comfort level. Like, this is the best time. Like, they love it, but they don't feel good afterwards. But it's like this trap that the ego, the parasite, leads you into. All right. And then you want to do that 5 times a day. Then it gets worse and worse and worse, and it sucks you in. Because remember, the ego, the parasite, doesn't care whether you live or die. This is what it feeds off of, is controlling you and destroying you. If you let it, if you identify with it, it can destroy you. All right. So remember this as you're doing all of your day's activities. All right, so the reverse attention exercise. The reverse attention exercise. This is who? Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard. We have this on the classroom too. The reverse attention exercise, reverse course. To aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. This is very, very good for remembering, because listen, when I first did this exercise, I remember I was in prison when I did this first exercise. And there's not a whole lot going on in prison. I mean, there is a lot going on, but really not. You're not going to a lot of different places. So I remember you get up early in the morning, depending on who you are, but you exercise, you go to breakfast, then you usually have like a job. Like I was a confinement orderly, a property orderly, a VP orderly, so I'd have a job that I went to, and then I would come back, and then I would like eat again, then eat again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then go to the rec yard, probably something like that, or the library, and that was pretty much it. All right. So the first exercise that I did, first night that I did this, I'm trying to replay that, and it should be relatively simple. It should be relatively simple. Okay, I see here. All right. But it wasn't for me. It absolutely was not simple for me at all. And it was very frustrating for me and the reason for that is because of my present moment awareness, is because the ego was still controlling me. It was still controlling, whether I was in the now or I was in the past or the future. So what happened was the following day when I woke up, when I realized that I couldn't really remember a lot of things, and my mind was like drifting here, there, and everything. The first step that I took in the morning, I took my foot off my bunk or rack or whatever you want to call it. And I was very present. Then I took another step and I was present. Another step, present, brushed my teeth, very present. Then I had a conversation, very present. Then I went to eat, very present every time. So, because I'm like, okay, I got to remember this stuff. I got to remember everything I did today. So I have to be present during the day in order to remember that. Otherwise, you're like what we talked about, you're unconscious then. If you can't remember what you did throughout the day, that means that you were unconscious and you weren't in the now, and the ego had control of you. You had identified with the ego. And it's consuming you like a parasite. So if you can't remember, if you can't do this exercise with relative ease, that it means that you were unconscious throughout the day. That means that the ego, the parasite, had control over you for most of the day, and you weren't a real person. Just like we talked about the people that you need to forgive in your life, the people that have hurt you. They were unconscious when they hurt you. There's nothing to forgive. It wasn't them that did it. It was the ego. It was the parasite that was controlling them because they were not conscious. Because if they were conscious, they would be present and they wouldn't have done those things. All right? Because if you're conscious, there's nothing, you're not going to have harm in your mind. You're not going to have vengeance in your mind or anger in your mind or jealousy in your mind. It's impossible. If you're conscious, the ego, the parasite, is made all this stuff up. Jealousy, vengefulness, hatred, everything along those lines does not exist when you are conscious. The ego has created this illusion of these things. And when you're not conscious, you are consumed with these things. And that's when you were harmed. If you were, the trauma, anything that's happened to you from somebody else happened when the ego had control. It wasn't even them. They're not even the ones that did it. So who's there to forgive? So all we can do now is develop our own skills within this and try to share this with as many people as we possibly can, because that is the key. That's the key to overcoming this trauma, this hatred, this vengeance, this jealousy, this, that, and the other, and being unconscious. Find your consciousness. And this exercise I found was tremendous at me seeing how unconscious I actually was throughout the day. Because if I couldn't remember details of my day, that means, of course, I was unconscious. Because if you're conscious, you should be able to remember everything you did because you were present. But if you're not present, the ego has control of you, and you can't remember it because it wasn't you. The ego was controlling everything you did. All right? The parasite, you were identified with the parasite. That's why you can't remember. So to aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise night after night. Just before you drift off to sleep, strive to hold your attention on the activities of the day in reverse order. Focus your attention on the last thing you did, that is getting into bed, and then moving it backwards in time over the events until you reach the very first event of the day, getting out of bed. This is no easy exercise, but just as specific exercises greatly help in developing specific muscles, This will greatly help in developing the muscle of your attention. And also, I found that this was a present moment awareness course. I know Neville Goddard labeled this as the muscle of your attention, which it does help with attention. But I believe more that it develops your present moment awareness, because you realize how unconscious and how you weren't aware of the present moment when you do the exercise. You're like, wait a minute, I can't even, who did I talk to today? What did I even talk to that person about? And you're trying to think about all this stuff, like as your eyes are closed and you're relaxed. Then the mind's wanting to go here, here, here. So which is a part of the attention too, but you should be able to remember, and every step that you took, every conversation that you had, what meals you ate, how was the food placement, the conversations you had. Otherwise, the ego, the parasite had control of you. That's the bottom line. And it was very frustrating for me when I did this exercise, because I was really working on developing myself, and I discovered how far off I was with my own mind at that point. So I'm like, when I woke up in the morning, I put one foot down. I said, okay, I'm going to remember this. Put another foot down. I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember this. I brush my teeth every time, every stroke of the toothbrush. I'm remembering this. This is happening right now. And I would tell myself this, everything that I'm doing. I'm eating. Before I eat, I'm looking at the placement of the food. Every bite that I take, I'm tasting it very slowly and being very present, putting it back down, tasting something else, drinking some. What does this taste like? You're drinking it very slowly. You're very present. And then you can remember everything. When you do that, you are actually a real person. And when you start doing this, time slows down. Because when the ego has control of you, you'll live 100 years and it'll feel like 10. But if you're present and you have control of your attention, and the ego and the parasite doesn't have control of you, and you're very conscious, 100 years is going to be like 1,000 years. It's going to be like 1,000 years. And that's why the Bible, I believe that it talked about people living to 1,000 years. How old they were is because they were very present. And the years were a lot different because of that. And I believe that that's the symbolic nature of the years in the Bible. Once you become very conscious and the ego doesn't have control of you, then you unlock all the power that you have, and your time on earth, or your time in this current life, is expanded and it never ends. And I believe that there's a lot of different scripture in the Bible that communicates this. Everlasting life, present, disassociating yourself with the ego, the parasite, being very present in the moment. I believe that is a big part of it. And if you do this exercise, I'm sure a lot of you have done this exercise. Keep doing it. Do it again. If you stopped, do it again, because remember the importance of this when it comes to manifestation too. That's The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Okay, so lesson number 9. All right, so this is the key to becoming fully present in the moment in the shortest time possible. Here we go. Understand that you are practicing nonstop. You are either practicing being present and aware of the mind, or practicing engaging with the mind activity. All right, let me read that again. This is really important. Understand that you are practicing nonstop at this. You are either practicing being present and aware of the mind, or practicing engaging with the mind activity. If you eat 1 carrot in the morning and a bunch of Big Macs the rest of the day, how can you expect to stay in shape and be healthy? This is because you can't make a decision in your life to change unless you're conscious. And remember, when you're attached to the ego, this is the big part where people stumble, where they can't make decisions. They can't make big changes in their life and say, I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to start working out every day. I'm going to start visualizing this every day. I want to create this new life. This is the stumbling block, is because if the ego, if the parasite has control of you, you are not conscious to where you can make decisions for yourself. So the first step is to become conscious and disidentify yourself with the parasite, with the ego. All right, because if you eat one carrot in the morning, when you're you're conscious in the morning, you're like, I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna change. You say, I'm gonna change. I'm conscious in the morning. You have something healthy to eat, and then all of a sudden, the ego comes back in, and you start. The ego takes control. It starts saying, "What, this person did this to you. That person did this to you. What do you get? This happened," and then you're not present, and then you become unconscious in that moment of the parasite now gaining control over you again. Then you lose the decision in the present moment to continue with your diet plan. So that's why it's so important to do these exercises and to become present throughout the day. That way you can make the decisions and stay on your path. Stay on your path. Okay, so if you want to become present permanently, here we go, which is possible. You need to be the guard of the mind in every moment. The watchman at the gate, like we're covering in the Zoom mastermind. The watchman at the gate, the guard of the mind in every moment. You will find this incredibly difficult at first, but through time, it could be even exhausting. But through time, you will develop the skill. You will become automatic in developing these habits to be present, to be very present. However, persist, knowing that this is the only way out of the suffering imposed by the mind, by the ego, by the parasite. And doing these exercises throughout the day, I mean, the reverse exercise, if you just were to do the reverse exercise for 30 minutes a day, or if even 15, you would see dramatic results within a short period of time. Your life will be longer. You'll feel more fulfilled. You'll be happier. You'll be conscious. You'll be a real person where you can make real decisions and create the life of your dream. Because if you're not conscious, you're being controlled by the law of thought transmission through the ego. Because remember, the ego is the same for every being. There's no separation between the ego and everybody else. So when you're being controlled by the ego, you're being controlled by the law of thought transmission, and you can't make decisions because these thoughts are entering your mind and you're not consciously aware of them, and you're identifying with these thoughts as if they are originating from you, but they're not, because you're not conscious to make a decision and control yourself. And these are the things that make people's lives not worthwhile, not the way that they want them to be. And this is the sole reason for that. So doing these exercises every single day, even if it's only 10 minutes, is going to drastically change the greatness, the beauty of your life. But it's up to you. Like right now, you are present. Like there's been several times throughout this video or this live that you've become present. And in that moment, you can make a decision and you tell yourself, I'm going to do this. But what usually happens? What usually happens an hour from now after it's over? You kind of slip back into the old routines again because you've gone unconscious again. But as you start to do this every single day, you start to develop these new habits where you are now becoming more and more conscious and disidentified with the ego or the parasite, to where you can actually make decisions for yourself and start visualizing this. I'm going to make a decision to visualize this, my future. I'm going to make a decision to not do this anymore, to change my diet, to change this, to change that. All right. So start now. I know a lot of you are already doing this and are very present, but there's still a lot of work to be done, even including myself. All right. So Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times 7. All right, so Lord, symbolic nature of this. How often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Neville Goddard used this terminology or this symbolic nature of repeating the imaginal act over and over and over, but it's sort of the same thing because when you're visualizing your future, you see the vision of your future now in the present moment, thinking from it. You are now conscious because you're present. You're not thinking of it, because when you're thinking of something, what has control of you? The ego. When you're thinking of something, you're not in the present. So you're unconscious. But when you become conscious, you're now thinking from the event in the present moment. And that's what Neville Goddard was talking about. You're thinking from it. That now you're conscious. Now you can make a decision. Now you can make a decision that this is the being that you are now. Very present. Because when you're thinking of something, the ego has you, the parasite has you. You're not in the present moment. You're unconscious. But when you're imagining from something, and you're doing it 70 times 7, from it, you are conscious, and you keep bringing yourself back to this conscious moment of the vision of your future, to where you can make decisions and shifting that state of consciousness now to this conscious being that's no longer identified with the ego. Even if we don't get into that, like with Neville Goddard, we don't get into the ego and how that all works. But that's why I think Eckhart Tolle and Neville Goddard complement each other so well. And if you master both of their teachings, you will be unstoppable. These two are the secret to really mastering the art of success and happiness, fulfillment, growth, everything that you could imagine, living the life of your dreams and leveling up. So that's why I wanted to bring in Eckhart Tolle too, because the power of now is thinking from the event, not of it, because once you're of it, then the parasite controls you. You are identified back with the ego. And then you're not present. You can't make decisions. You're not conscious. 70 times 7 is symbolic. It means infinity. How many times do we get back to the present moment until you become fully present at all times? All right, so Eckhart Tolle, symbolic nature of this is a little bit different, but I still understand what he's saying here. 70 times 7 is symbolic. It means infinity. How many times do you get back to the present moment until you become fully present at all times? As many as it takes. How many times do you visualize until, you visualize from an event until it happens? As many as it takes. As many as it takes. Stay present in the most menial tasks during the day. When you walk to the bathroom, when you wash your hands, when you dry them with a towel, every activity, start, presently catching yourself. Catching. And that's why I like the leaf exercise, because it starts designing your mind to catch itself. Then once you train the mind, once you do this through repetition, you train the mind, it's like you're training the animal of the mind, just like training a wild dog. Like if you were to get a stray dog and it wasn't trained, it lived on the street its whole life, it's going to be tearing stuff up in your house. It's going to be pooping everywhere. It's going to be knocking its food bowl over. It's going to be a mess. But if you start training the dog, you say, no, wait, sit, stay, heel, you come, all the basic commands. No, you don't do that. You know how to discipline it. You treat the dog. You learn how to train it over time. That dog's no longer going to be doing that stuff. And you're not going to have to continue to train it. It's going to be trained over time. After you develop your mind, it's the same way. You develop and train your mind to become present. All right? And you start doing these things, and your mind will become more present as you continue to do these things. So stay present in all the tasks throughout the day. When you walk to the bathroom, when you get off of this live, when you get in your car, when you go walk, when you talk with people. Be very present. Turn activities that used to be means to the end itself or into the end itself. Turn them off. So this is the fast track to being fully present. All right, so that's enough. We're going to get into 10 next time. So these are enough. I think we have enough to go off of now. But we'll do some Q&A on this. I want to answer some questions, get some questions on this. We still have a few minutes. We still got 20 minutes to answer some questions.
Good. Good notes, good everything. Good morning, good afternoon. Hey, I saw Rohan and Sean that they jumped the call. Welcome. And if you can check the chat, guys, we have some ground rules, 3 ground rules. If you can check them. You have questions regarding those. If you can't see them, just let me know. But okay, anyway. All right, guys. So, all right, Daniel, take care. Thank you for being here. And okay, so it was a good live. It was a good presentation. Many things we've been talking like every day. So before we go to some live session questions that I have prepared for you, I want to hear from you, my friends. I think Krista had questions. You said something like that, Krista?
Yes, I said that I would have a question. It was so interesting that David had first, that he spoke about true forgiveness and then about the now. And this actually has answered my question. Because
Nice.
at the beginning, when you think what has true forgiveness to do with the now, and I understand. So I give the opportunity to someone else to ask a question.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Somebody has a question?
I just want to say that it was interesting. That was interesting live that we had there. I was a bit quiet on the last one, but yeah, I can identify with a lot of that because the group I was in the 80s, as I've said to a lot of people, have done a lot of things very similar to what David has done. And a lot of this being in present time and focusing on present time, I had a good practice with. So that really was like revision to me. But David covered so much material in that I need to go over it again and go over it step by step by step. But being in present time and focusing on present time, that really brought a lot back to me, and I need to go over it again and come back up to date with it.
All right, thank you. Ify.
I feel wanted to
Thank
say
you.
something.
Okay. Let's hear Ify first, please.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really good lesson by David. But my question is, he mentioned the ego as a parasite. So I guess I got 2 questions. The first one, then what is the purpose of the ego? Why was it created? And then I guess my second question, which it might tie to the first, is I'm sure we've met people like we discussed in the last lesson or the last session, where there's some people who just they just let things go. So for example, I would say kids, like you have kids, they just let things go. They don't bother them. So like even the Bible says, if you're going to get to heaven, you should be like a child. So are there some people who are just born like that? Like they just don't, because there's even someone that came to mind. I forgot his name, but he's a famous musician. And when I went to one of his concerts, I was listening to a session by him, and he said he was born with really bad parents, but his parents never loved him because right from a child, he has always been a happy person. And I guess that made him fall in love with music. So I guess he was just born like that. Are there some people who are just born like that? They just don't let things bother them. They just, from childhood, they continue to just be like that. I guess that's my question. And why are not all of us like that if there's some people who are like that, like this musician that I went to his concert? Yeah, that's my question.
All right. Thank you. I don't know if, before I share something, because it might not be what I want to share is not the final answer, because it's only my point of view. Somebody wants to share something regarding what Ify just said. There you go, Rose.
So, in regards to people that are just born like that, I mean, I think that's very hard for us to look on the outside and really judge that because we're not living their life. And it's easy for someone to come in and say, I'm a happy person, and then actually like truly live that. Because we all have, I, I believe that we all have the dark night of the soul or some kind of extent of that in our lives that we go through these perils. And yes, you can come out happier. So maybe his dark night of the soul happened when he was a child, and now he's over that, and like he's in the happy mode of his stage of life because he's figured out he doesn't have to deal with it anymore. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, I guess it kind of. But then what about kids?
So for kids, I think that
Because Rohan just said, yeah, go on.
Rose?
With age 4, kids get conscious. Before they're not.
it's age 7 that they say is where they're just like kind of soaking up everything before they drop into
Right.
all the other wavelengths, right? So
Right.
so maybe that has something to do with it. Is like they literally can't filter it maybe in their brains. Maybe there's
Yeah.
something that stops that. I don't know. I had a lot of emotional stuff happen to me when I was young. So I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think it does affect them. It's just maybe it's delayed and we don't see it until later on in life.
Yeah, that would make sense. Thank
But
you.
really, what you said before, this makes me think that there are people who go through life, they are kind of always in the now. And they don't have the ego. And if they were born with that,
Right.
no.
Thank you.
I don't know if Rohan knows regarding the question, or can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so my question was in terms of the ego, like David called it a parasite. Like, what is the point of that? And also, there are some people, so for example, like children or even adults that seem to just let things slide. They just don't let things bother them. They seem to not suffer from, as excuse me, as David was saying, hatred and hatred. So if you hurt them, they could just get over it.
they can forgive easily. They're just a happy-go-lucky person. That was my question. Why are people like that, and why are all of us not like that?
Ron.
To the second part of your question, I think my response would be only some people are like that because of the way that they've been raised up. Because if all of us were like that, then all of us would have been like that. You know what I mean? It's what I'm trying to say is a person is made up of their experiences, right? Of their upbringing and whatnot. If they had the same upbringing as you, they would have had similar patterns, behavioral patterns as to you, and hence beliefs and whatnot. Does that sort of make sense? Like, because of their different upbringing, they're going to react in a different way. And because some people, because of the way that they have been brought up, perhaps their reactions have been in a more lighthearted sort of manner. Like, for example, when I've come across, I've had a lot of Christian friends, and a lot of are really, really devoted. They go to church all the time and study the Bible all the time. I've noticed that they're really forgiving, and I like how you're saying light going and whatnot. And they love each other truly. And when they follow the 10 Commandments, the way they do, they're really forgiving, lighthearted. Praise to God for everything, right? And that's perhaps because of the environment that they've been in. But if I came across someone who had gone through a lot, whose parents who perhaps did not treat them the best and saw them as a victim, they would not see it the same way, right? So if we were all raised up the same way as my friends who were Christian, then we would all react the same way, most likely, right? We would all be lighthearted and going, but that's not the truth, because none of us have been raised up the same way. Look at all of us in the call, right? We haven't had the same upbringing. That's what I would say.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
To the ego one, I see where you're getting towards. David does mention explicitly, he does say the ego is powerful when we need it, because look, if we don't have an ego, we can't exist in this three-dimensional world. We need an ego, and that ego just means your identity, like who are you in this three-dimensional world. And when he says it acts like a parasite, is essentially when it blocks you from doing stuff of higher consciousness. So by that, for example, like for your identity, you need a future and you need a past, right? Like you need to know what's going to happen for this identity in the future. You know what I mean? And you need to know what's happened in the past so that you can have like a flow of events for this identity. Does that make sense? But because you have the eternal now, that cancels out everything. So it cannot survive in the now, which is where it becomes like a parasite. Does that make sense?
A bit. Thank you anyway.
Okay.
Thanks to have explained this so good.
Rose.
So for
Ross?
me, I don't view the ego as a parasite, but something that you can work with in a lot of ways. So learning how to go from like being controlled by the ego to making a what's the word? I just had it. Symbiotic relationship. That's it. If you know that term from biology. And where, you might be the host and the ego is attached to you, but you're both working together to the same goal. And so that's kind of how I would like to view my ego for me personally, is that it's not attacking me. It's not bad. It's just alerting me that, hey, there's something wrong that's going on in my body, in my spirit, and I need to pay attention to what that is. And why is that thing bothering me? So like I need to step back, go back into like the present moment and really be like, am I okay in this moment? Am I okay? Yes, I'm okay. Can I feel my breath coming in and out of my body? Can I feel the ground? Ask yourself questions so that if you kind of like, he did talk about that, but I don't see it as a parasite. I see it as a symbiotic relationship, because things will come up in your mind Obviously, that's why we're talking about this. And so, how do you use the ego so that you can actually get what you want? That's the bigger question for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, just to share real quick before we move forward. I was, well, this is my personal point of view and my personal belief. I really believe that many of us have lived different lives, different moments, not only this one, like different lives. And so does Neville talks about it, Abdullah talks about it. I think before we return, or before we are in this biological suit, we made arrangements. So we decide what experiences should we have, good or bad. Yeah, and I also believe many of us, some of us, are new souls or old souls. I feel myself like a kind of an old soul, and let me explain you why. Because I've seen people that they are older than myself. I don't know, 10, 20, 40, 30 years older than me, and I see their behavior, and I'm like, it's weird. They're acting like, let's destroy this, let's complain about everything, let's party, let's get drunk, let's get, like really teenage type of behavior. And I think some people made the arrangement, or they have like past experiences. For example, if you think about Tony Robbins, I don't know if you may know Tony Robbins. Have you guys heard about Tony Robbins?
I do.
Okay. Well, when you hear him talking about his personal story, he grew on a really weird situation. His mother was, I think he was, he used to drink a lot, and then she used to have like many partners, and she was living in a really bad situation until he decided that he wanted to do something else. That's when he heard about, oh my God, I forgot his name, the Tony Robbins mentor.
Jim
was
Rohn.
Jim Rohn. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And he heard about Jim Rohn, he started working with him, and blah, 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 blah. So, and also, I'm not so familiarized with Oprah's background, but I know she had a tough life, and many others. So I really think that if you find people that they're like kind of they know what to do since they were little, it's because maybe that's the arrangement they had. They wanted to do, especially I want to do this, and they knew. And some others, maybe they just wanted to party, or to have a different kind of experience. That's my personal belief. That's actually my personal belief. And if I go deeper into that, I think if for example, when I was a young lad, I wanted to help people. I was in kindergarten, and I saw people, little boys, crying because they were left. And the first day, this is a story that my mom used to tell me, that the first day of kindergarten, she was all emotional because she was gonna leave me for the first time and everything, and she thought I was gonna do the same. But the moment we approached the door, she said that I left her hand, and she ran. I ran. It sounds like she left me and run away. And she, I ran and I started talking to the little boys. Like I was expecting to do that. Like I wanted to do it. And then I think she was looking at me and she saw that I came to this little boy that was crying. And I told this little boy, "Hey, why are you crying?" "Oh, look at me. I'm not crying. You shouldn't cry." But I don't know why I said that. But the point here is that I don't know. I remember back in those days, well, not in those days, like in my life, that I always wanted to share and talk and hear people out. I don't know. And now it makes pretty much sense because of what I'm doing, what I do in my life, and other businesses that I'm starting. So I think we choose, and plus what Rohan was saying, if you have the environment and everything. So that's only my belief. And regarding the ego, I think the same. The ego sometimes it's here for to protect us. It's like our mind. Hey, don't do this. Be careful. Like something like that. So that's pretty much it. Rose.
Well, thank you.
I don't think it's always environment either, though, because I had a horrific childhood and raised by quote unquote Christians, and complete opposite of what Rowan was pointing out about forgiveness and things like that. Just a lot of anger, physical violence, things like that in my family. And I've been through a lot of other things in my life that I don't have to go and hash out with y'all, but all those things kept leading me back to what I really want in life and like defining who I am from it. So, I mean, people can go through horrific things and they can find forgiveness through those things and not be defined. I mean, yes, be defined in a certain way to like know these are my boundaries in that way, in a healthy way, be defined in a healthy way, but not be defined in a negative way. And so for me, I used my ego and it helped me because I was able to use my ego and figure out what I wanted and where to put my boundaries up to protect myself. So it is a very important tool that we have.
It is indeed. Thank you, Rose.
Well,
Thank you for
thank
sharing.
you.
All right, my friends. So let's move on to the live session questions, or somebody has something else that wants to a question or something. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go to this. I'm gonna share. I'm going to share the screen so we can all see the questions.
Yep, go for it.
Thank you. There you go. So I have this live session discussion, the architecture of presence. So I divided in 3 sections, two questions regarding each lesson. So, okay, Rohan, can you give me the honors to read number 1?
Sure. Number 1, the ego's poison. David says that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. From a law of assumption perspective, if we all are connected in consciousness, how does holding a grudge against someone else literally manifest as a blockage in your own success?
Thank you. So somebody wants to answer. Let's have maybe 1 or 2 people answer, and we move to the other one. If you want to answer, just unmute yourself, guys.
For me, when I'm reading this, I'm thinking about my parents and how they were unconscious. And, so to most of the degree, they still are in a lot of ways. And so I've got to just remember to hold kindness in my heart because I've been there, been unconscious or whatever you want to call the term, been consumed by the ego in a negative way, if you want to say it another way. And so to be able to look at myself and see how they're hurting, and I can relate to that, and just being able to love them through their unconsciousness.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Rose, could you read the number 2?
Yes. The unconscious actor, he mentions that people who hurt us are often just sleepwalkers controlled by their ego. Oh, look, I just said that.
Yeah.
If you realize that the person who harmed you wasn't even awake, does that make it easier for you to drop the story and move into your wish fulfilled? Or does your ego still want to be, quote unquote, right? I think for me, it just depends on where you are in this journey, because for, even though I was like in the awakening process, there was times that I still held grudges, because I've been going through this process for several years. And of course, in the beginning, I was trying to forgive, but there was blockages to forgiveness. And even more recently, like opening up more to love over everything, because even the Bible says that love conquers all. It's the greatest of all. So, once we truly learn how to like start loving ourselves and seeing ourselves in a loving way, forgiveness just kind of floods in. Or at least for me, it did.
Yes. Thank you. In my case, I wanted to say that yes, knowing that the person wasn't awake does make it easier, because, well, to understand, to understand that we are having our particular experiences, and sometimes I decided, even though it was a really bad situation, for some reason I decided to come here to this reality and have that experience. So that person also wanted to have that experience, and then there we go. We had the experience, and most of the time I think we have this because we need to learn, or we need some tools in order for us to grow. So if I understand that that person wasn't like awake, they were just like in autopilot, it makes me feel that I don't have to, to be all the time inside of that situation, because at the end, if I'm every single time repeating myself, oh my God, that MFCK did this to me, and who's the one that it's actually feeling the danger? Well, not the danger, the damage. Well, I'm doing it myself. So yeah, in my case. Okay, so somebody wants to say something regarding this number 2, or we can move to number 3. All right. Ify, could you give us the honors for number 3, please? She left.
I can read
Right.
again.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
The
sorry, I was
24
on mute. Oh, sorry, I was speaking on mute. Do you want me to still read it?
Yeah, thank you, Rose, for
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. The 24-hour gym of the mind. David reminds us that we have a gym in our house 24/7, but the real workout is the training the muscle of attention. When you find yourself reaching for mental junk food, scrolling Netflix or negative thoughts, what is your immediate pattern interrupt to bring yourself back to the now? So, I guess in my situation, I have been doing the leaf exercise, and I initially did find it extremely difficult because, as I said, I've always been meditating, and I thought I had a focused attention. But then when I tried the leaf exercise, I then realized that I didn't have a focused attention, that I literally, since I came back into the group, I had to cut out everything: social media, music, TV, because I love music. I love, engaging with people on social media.
I literally had to cut out even TV because there are a lot of American series like Frasier or Law and Order that I love. So I literally had to cut all of that out because I realized that they were just, as David would say, I was under a hypnotic state. My mind just wasn't focused. And I've noticed that as I've cut all that out, I'm actually very tired. You would think I'll be more alert, but I'm actually more tired, which means probably to me, I've seen that as my body needed rest, but all that attention, instead of resting, instead of doing what my mind needed, I was focusing on that external stimulation. So yeah, that's what I've done to bring back my attention. And I actually love when David says the honey bun. I didn't read that part, but he says section two, stillness and the honey bun trap. So yeah, we don't have, I don't think we have honey buns here, but I love when he says, you know, you're just eating Netflix and having honey buns, but we don't have honey buns here. So if I ever come to America, I will try a honey bun.
It's like honey bun. I think it's like do you have this place called they sell rolls. It's a place from a chain. A chain. It's called. I don't remember the name, but anyway, I'll let you know in a little bit. Yeah, honey buns. All right. Okay, that was a good one. And
Thank you.
yeah, in my case, the mental junk food and everything, I think right now I'm in a part of my life where, yeah, I consume junk food. Yeah, I watch some Netflix time to time. I also play video games, but I don't do it like in a way of I can be, well, yes, if I decided, well, the point here is that if I'm gonna play a video game for 5 hours, it's because I decided to do it, you know? It's not like it happened. I decided to do it, and that's pretty much it. If I want to watch Saturday a marathon of Stranger Things, well, I decided to do it. It's not like I don't know what to do. So I think when you get in control of those situations, that's fine. I don't drink that much, but I enjoy a good whiskey, a good wine. But you know, I here in Mexico, you can find really nice bread. That's my weak point. I can be a little bit more, you know, how do you say this? I can let myself a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat one cookie and then I ended up eating the whole package. Yeah, I can do that. I still can do that. But if I have if I realize that I'm doing it, so I just kind of stop doing it and then focus myself in other things. Rohan, I'm sorry, you wanted to share something.
Yeah, well, I guess this question hits home for me because that's exactly what I'm sort of going through now. I'm going to be a little vulnerable now. Actually, that's a lot of where I am in my stage of development. Like, you know, I've read a lot of books, or I'm always conceptually, I think I've learned a lot by being in the group, and even outside of it, like theoretically, and I've developed the present moment awareness of knowing that I'm doing, for example, any bad habit. Let's just say scrolling on Instagram, for example. I know I'm doing it, but I still do it. And the funny thing is, I even know ways on how to stop doing it, but I don't do it. You know what I mean? Even if I have the present moment awareness, right? And there's going to be a part of me which says, it's just like the leaf exercise. Get away from it. Boom. Just stop, recollect, let's go. Or there's a part of me that says, as you get better at the leaf exercise, you'll get better at getting rid of this issue. There's so many methods to tackle it. Like, has anyone heard of Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule? Like that's something which comes to my mind, but I still don't do it. I was just wondering if anyone else is in a similar state to me, and that's exactly where I am now, and it does get sort of annoying. If anyone has any advice, because I've given myself all the advice, but this is something I wanna work on.
Thank you. Ify.
Yeah, Rohan, I was like that. So, for example, when I was on social media and it was just, I'll be scrolling and I'll be on pages and I would be arguing with like people from MAGA when they make comments, and I'll be reacting, and in my mind I'm thinking, I don't even know these people. I'm getting so emotional with what they're saying. Or there's a program I really loved called Criminal Minds, because I've always had a love or a fascination with America, living in the UK. And there's a program called Criminal Minds, but it's so scary. But I got so addicted to it, Criminal Minds with these serial killers that would do really gruesome stuff, like chop off people's fingers, or do you understand? But every Wednesday, I would 9 o'clock, sit down and I'm screwed on the TV and I watch it and I'm really into it. But I then noticed that it was actually making me scared, when I go out early in the morning because of all this. And I think the thing you have to do is just decide and cut it off 100%, because it became like an obsession to me. It's just, yeah, you have to. What's like, is it David or someone says the head of the snake? You just have to cut the head off. Cut it off. It's going to be hard, but you need to cut it off.
He knows
Yeah,
it.
no, it's not the first time I've heard that. I think I'll take it as a positive reinforcement. This might be it. I'll just go again. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Krista.
Well, what Rose, no, who was talking? When you watch Criminal Minds or any bad stuff, you don't get rid of it in your system. That can pass 10 years, 20 years, and it comes back. And that's why David tells us we shouldn't watch TV.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, because it's so addictive, the stories, but they're so horrible as well. So horrible, but so addictive.
I have seen, I don't know how many years ago this was, where a boy had a rat and then there came on more rats. And a group of other boys wanted to fight with him. And then the rats were fighting for him. And those boys have been in pieces, Oof.
Thank you.
And it came back into my mind again and again.
Yeah, it can be traumatic.
Yeah, it can.
It can. Rose.
For me, I think it's more of a balance, because I enjoy watching whatever the heck I want to watch, whether it be true crime or whatever, like Reddit stories about people that like did crazy things. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The thing is that I consciously choose to do it. I'm aware of what I'm doing and I'm going to do it because I enjoy it. So personally, I don't think there's a problem as long as you're not like constantly consumed by it, where I think that's the line that he's talking about. And as long as you're still doing the other stuff that you need to do in your life, such as your meditations and whatever you want to do in regards to like creating your reality, if it brings you joy, I don't think you should cut it out. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you. We have to be a little bit careful with that, Rohan, because you said, for example, scrolling on Instagram. It might be something else that you wanted to change. I'm not asking you to tell us exactly what's going on, but what I'm gonna tell you, it comes from experience. I used to be a crackhead. I used to consume crack, and I had a really bad addiction with that substance many years back. Uh, One day I woke up and I decided to place myself into a clinic. That's what I decided. I told my mom, you know what, I'm in big trouble right now. I'm feeling all these cramps in my body, and I don't want that anymore. So she put me on this really nice clinic. It was um, a government facility, and it was easy for me because they put you this thing in your vein, and then they clean up all the shitty part in the drug, and everything it flows away. That's something good. But one thing is the physical, another thing is the psychological addiction, because then you start to remember all the good things that substance made you feel and everything, and this and that. So they wanted me to be part of AA, and I didn't feel like well, at first it was okay, yeah, that's what I need, and the people were like, yeah, you have to be in AA, because if you're not in AA, you're gonna go back to that substance and everything. So I attend to these meetings, and I say to myself, okay, this is not for me, because I couldn't get a hold of how am I gonna feel better if every single time I'm saying, hi, I'm James and I'm an addict. Hi, I'm James and I'm an addict. So it didn't make sense to me, because I was reinforcing the personality. And now that I know about human behavior, and I know about the what you repeat to yourself is what you become and everything, that actually doesn't make sense if you wanna change your self concept. So what I start to do is I start to do the opposite. No, I'm not an addict anymore. I'm not an addict, and it worked for me. It worked for me. I used to watch movies, and then in the movie I see it was a movie with this guy Mel Gibson. No, it wasn't Mel Gibson. It was oh my god, I forgot the name. But he was a really well-known Hollywood actor, and he stopped. He was a policeman, and he stopped somewhere, and then he grabbed crystal pipe, and then he started smoking crack. And when I saw that scene, my hands start to feel like something, my mouth and everything. So what I did in that moment, I turned on a cigarette, and then when I realized I changed the crack with the cigarette, and then I had another problem because I switched addictions. So one day I woke up and I said to myself, I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't want to smoke anymore. And I decided in that moment I wasn't a smoker. And I started telling myself, I'm not a smoker. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a smoker. People were telling me, oh yeah, you smoked yesterday and everything. How come you're saying you're not a smoker? And I was like, I'm not a smoker because that worked for me. So every single time that I want to quit something, what I do is to repeat myself, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person. I'm not. So I don't know. I don't know if that can work for you. Just to change the perspective, because if you're doing something that for some reason, it's something that it's giving you trouble because you want to change it, for some reason. You know why. In your body, maybe your focus, I don't know, there's something going on. So stop seeing yourself as the person who does that, and start telling yourself, okay, I'm not that person. I'm actually not that person who is doing that. And well, that worked for me, that actually worked for me. I heard about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 go. Sometimes it can work. I don't know, but what works for me is to tell myself I'm not that person. I created this new, how do you say this? Alternate ego, and I say to myself, I'm a Roman consul, and that's not what a Roman consul is going to do, because I'm a conqueror, and I start saying things like that. So I don't know, if it works for you, fine. If not, well, you will find what works for you anyway. But yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
sure. Rosa.
I was just gonna add on to what you were saying about AA, going to AA or whatever, because I am a former alcoholic. That's how I say it now. I don't say I am, I say former. But anyways, yeah, I didn't like going to AA because of always having to reinforce like I am an alcoholic or addict, whatever you want to say for the meeting. And just always like with the stories of the past, and like yes, it's great to like remember the past and like where we've come from, but it seemed like it was always dwelling on the past
Yeah.
instead of like really focus, like a majority of the time, instead of like focusing on like the here and the now and the present. And so for me it just never really worked out, because I don't know if there was a lot of ego in like AA or not because of that, because we're always like, oh, look at me and how I changed my life or whatever. But I don't know. I just didn't relate to that program. And I feel like I'm rambling now, so I'll stop.
Yeah, that program, it's kind of weird. You become addicted to the group instead of the substance. So it's kind of weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't judge it. I don't like it. It didn't work for me. And well, anyway. Krista.
When you said that you're a Roman consul and he doesn't smoke, I imagined the ancient Rome and some people taking out cigarettes and smoking. It's an absolute impossibility.
It is.
So
It is
when you
indeed.
think like that, you stop smoking.
But they were drinkers and they like prostitutes and everything. So they had bad habits. Terence.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you were saying about that. I never liked this. I used to see this when people come on programs saying I'm not an alcoholic. It seemed funny to me that you go to a meeting like that and you've got to stand up in public and say to people, I'm not an alcoholic, and you're trying to better yourself. And then a couple of hours later, then you're going home then and standing in front of the mirror saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. It don't work, because you're kind of counteracting the two. So you're going from saying you're not one and then coming home and saying you're something else, a positive suggestion. So they're kind of cancelling each other out in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. And it's hard because if every single time you're saying, oh, I'm not this, I'm that, or you're repeating yourself, that's why you're fighting. That's why you're fighting. When you see the bottle, you see the one, you're, oh my God, you're fighting, you're fighting, you're fighting. Now I can see crack here in my hand, and I don't give an F. I don't actually give an F. You can give me cigarettes, and I don't care, because I'm not that person. But all right. We were talking about Netflix, but it's the same, you know, at the same, it's the same. That's the 24-hour gym of the mind. So number 4, the reverse attention exercise. He challenged us to review our day in reverse order before sleep. For those who have tried this, did you find gaps where you couldn't remember what you did? And what does that tell you about how much of your day is spent being controlled by the parasite or ego versus being truly conscious? Who wants to say something?
I don't have a big problem with the reverse attention exercise, because there's not so much going on in my life. And so going back it's really, really easy. And yeah, when there's a day where more is going on, I will see.
I think this exercise for the ones that we are here is not hard, because even though I can do many things in one day, the business, family, dogs, the PlayStation 5, and things like that. I can remember the other day I did this reverse course. I was like, okay, yeah, I came to my room, I did da. And then I remember not exactly every single movement that I made, because I played this game called Battlefield 6. It's a war game. You can check it out. It's really wonderful. It's really nice. But anyway, that's the only thing that I play right now. And I was remembering some moments. I wasn't remembering the whole session, but I was remembering some moments. And then I remind myself doing the meetings and everything. So I don't think for most of us it's kind of it's hard. But somebody has trouble with the reverse course.
My biggest problem is falling asleep when I'm doing it.
Yeah, it happens to me also. Yeah. But to try, what I've tried is not to do it when I'm feeling really tired, but that's impossible. Oh yeah, I'm going to sleep and I'm not sleepy. It's like weird. But well. Okay, let's move to the last two. Okay. Rohan, could you read? No, Terence, can you read number 5, please?
Yeah, no, let me, which one is it? Yeah, sure. Thinking of versus thinking from. There is a massive difference between thinking of a goal and thinking from it. How does staying present, like brushing your teeth or washing, actually prepare your mind for the intense focus needed for high-level manifestation?
Thank you. Somebody wants to answer that? There you go.
Yeah, staying present is at the crux of everything. I mean, if we can do it for mundane tasks like that, I think it serves as a building block to do it for your grand visualization scene. And at the end of the day, you need to have a good sense, like a good feeling of your 5 senses at all points in time.
Thank you. Rose.
Also staying in the present moment helps you to block like anti-manifestation thoughts, I guess, if you want to say it that way. So, doubt or negative thoughts that might pop in. And if you're overcoming that with the present moment, there's not really much time for them to occupy the space in your brain to work against your desires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. All right. Yeah. I don't think it's hard thing for many of us in this life. I think I'm gonna ask more advanced questions for you guys, because I think this is kind of a starting level, and I think if it's happening for me, it's happening for you too. You're realizing that you might be more advanced than you think on these exercises, right? Somebody has that feeling. Well, with this question, I can tell. Okay, yeah, this is so simple, and yeah, I used to fight against these things, but now it's not. So I'm pretty sure it's happening to you, right? Krista, Are you able to read the last one? And but well, Puffy, go please.
I will try. The watchman at the gate. David compares training the mind to training a stray dog that poops everywhere. In your current life, what is the messiest part of your mind right now? How can you start training that specific area today by simply becoming an observer? Its observer instead of its victim.
There you go. Thank you. If you wanted to ask or say something from the last question.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Okay. Or do you want to say something from this question?
Okay, let me see. I guess what we've discussed in the questions above, they're just doing the reverse course and the leaf exercise, and that's what I've used to train my mind. I remember one video David called it, a rambling sheep without no shepherd. And to bring back my mind, I just have to, no matter how long it takes. I think David said he did it 365 days. And it took him 60 days just to do 20 leaves.
Yeah.
So I guess, that's how our mind can become unruly. So it's just those two exercises I'm using to train my mind.
Okay. Thank you. Rose.
So anyone that's familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, you'll know what I'm talking about. But one of the things that you could use also is called like an anchor. He doesn't call it an anchor, but he uses the word change. So if you're experiencing something that's trying to pull you into your old past life, let's say that we'll use the example of James, of him trying to quit smoking, right? And he feels like this pull to like go smoke a cigarette. But you have that pause. If you can step back and take a mental and physical pause in your body and in your mind to really like give a gap between like the thought and then the action of actually smoking the cigarette, and you have that time and that space in between, and you start thinking about you could use the word change like Dr. Joe does, or some other physical anchor or some other thought to help start reminding you to like, hey, that's not who I am anymore. And you want to change that in your mind. So you could use a word, and like Dr. Joe, he teaches change, for example. So let's say, I think, oh, I need to go smoke, I want to go smoke a cigarette. If I can pause and tell myself change, that one word just means like I'm not that person anymore. And so it's like a physical anchor. Or you could actually like hold your thumb, or like people do various things like physically, like they squeeze between their forefinger and their thumb, like that little gap in between your fingers. So like you could do a physical anchor like that. And like if you're in meditation and you've like practiced a new life that you're going into, let's say you wanted to become a millionaire and that's like what you want to do, and you have like negative thoughts about, oh, this will never work, talking about something in your business, and you were to physically try that anchor, it can help. It's helped me like to have the anchor of change, that word, like I'm changing my life, that's not who I am.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good technique. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So in my case, the messiest part of my mind now, well, right now, I don't, yeah, there's mess, but like messiest, I think if I read this question 3 months ago, I could tell you some parts, but I think I'm getting a hold of these things right now, especially the last 4 days. I'm gonna make a post later regarding something that happened to me. That was really weird, but it was like I did like a shift. It was really weird because I realized something. But I'm gonna make a post and I tagged you guys so you can read it. It was really really interesting. But yeah, maybe I had some trouble. One of my problems is is when I'm doing SATs and I'm seeing myself on my Italian villa, and then at the same time I see myself driving my Jeep Wrangler, and then I see myself counting money. Yeah, like combining everything in a scene that doesn't actually make sense. I think I'm having trouble with combining, not doing one thing and then others, just like like how dreams are, like you're like skiing and then you're with a shotgun, and well, for saying something, right? But yeah, okay, somebody has a messiest part of your mind right now.
Yeah, I was interested in saying about different ways that Joe Dispenza using change and stuff. The one that come to mind to me, I think that a lot of people would use, they say, count to 10. Before you think what to do next, pause, slow down, and count to 10. That's the one that come into my mind as you were discussing change and stuff with Joe Dispenza. Count to 10. That's what I do use. Should I do this or no? Wait, count to 10 before I rush into it, before I'm realizing what I'm doing.
Nice. That remind me of I read this book called The Game from Neil Strauss. It's a story about these pickup artist guys, and they go to bars and they pick up girls and everything. And that book gives you, it's a story, but they give you like how to interact with people, even if you're a shy person. They show you how to approach other people. It's a really good book. But there's one technique that they say that they're in a bar and they want to approach a girl, and they just say to themselves, okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, whatever, and then they go before. And before that, they were like staring at them and all awkward and everything. So yeah, that made what you said, Terrence, made me remember of that book. But anyway,
yeah, it made me laugh when he was saying that, being shy and approaching girls.
Yeah,
and it said, what I do, I pick up a shotgun. I'm not shy anymore.
Yeah,
I just burst out laughing when you said that. But it's right. It's correct. Yeah. I'll pick up a shotgun or a handgun. I'm not shy anymore. I could do anything.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's the same principle. At the end, just go for it. Just go for it. But all right, my friends. So this was wonderful. It was a really nice live. This one, the last one, were a little bit longer, but I think they were really worth it. Thank you, all of you, for being here. You want to share something before we go? Anyone?
Just say thanks for the presentation. I really enjoyed it. Went a bit long, but I really enjoyed it. There was a lot in that document, and I'm going to play it back after and have another read of it, because there's a lot in it that it went over a bit quick, but it was really good and a great presentation.
There you go, my friend. Thank you. You for being here.
Yes, I think so too. Thank you to James. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, my friends. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you tomorrow with David and your love, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye all. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.